Hey there, this is Tim, one of the partners of Paragon Partners, and I'm going to do something different in this video. Now, I've seen plenty of videos, I'm sure you have too, of other eBay sellers, and they always say, here's what makes me money on eBay, here's the big sellers, here are hidden gems to look for at the swap meet or thrift store or whatever. And less than that are the ones where you lose money. So I thought it'd be interesting to do a video on the ones that I lose money on. So we'll start with number one. Is UPS, or interruptible power supplies. Now, when you buy these at thrift stores, I found out the reason why they're donated to thrift stores is because the battery side goes out, and so only the surge protector is good anymore. So typically these have like about 6 or 8 plugs in the back, and about 4 of them are just for the surge protector, and the other 4 of them are on the battery backup. And of course, the battery, like a car battery, it goes bad after a while. And then people donate them to thrift stores. So I've never had purchased a good one from the thrift store. The second problem is you get them and they're heavy. I mean, you know your car battery is heavy. It's like shipping something like that. And so the shipping cost on these is very astronomical for the size. So I've never made money on these. Power adapters. I have a couple problems with these. The big one is that you're competing against all the Chinese cheapies, and literally people are buying these for like $6 to $8 with free shipping. All right, and so of course they're doing it in bulk. They're able to sell 1,000 over the course of a year. So how many of these do I pick up and sell? Not that many. And they go ahead and list it, photograph it, sell it, for $6 with free shipping. The second problem I have, of course, is that these have a higher return rate because, not that they're bad, but people don't know how to size the connector. And so they get it, they find out it doesn't fit their appliance, and then they send it back. So this has been a loser for me. Video cameras. Now, people still buy these, but whenever I pick them up, they're usually damaged in some way. And so the return rate I've had on these is much higher. Now people, they still use vintage video cameras. And when I've gotten them new in box or new old stock, they do pretty well. But when you pick them up at the thrift store or swap meet, the reason why they're there is because they're no longer working. And furthermore, this can be really hard to test all the functionality on. So someone will get this, and then 1 to 2 weeks, they'll find a feature that doesn't work, and then they'll want to go ahead and return it. This is the one category where I have the highest return rate on eBay. Now, disc video games. Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about the cartridge-based video games, like certainly for the old Atari 2600 or the original Nintendo, but video games that come on a CD or a disc. Now, when I go to swap meet, they're usually say a couple bucks each, usually like 2 for $5 or $5 more. Now this is the latest eBay listing, and you can see what's going on here. They're like about $7 a pop, and for that $7, it's free shipping. Okay, which is going to be about $3.50. You got to pay all the eBay fees. All right, and then these are promoted listings to get to the top, so you have to spend that. All right, and so by the time you're left, you got less than $1 that you're dealing with. All right, and so it's just not worth it, especially to photograph it, put it up, get it going, just to make that $1. Now, I was at the swap meet last week, and I had a chance to actually pick up 100 disc games like this for $50, and I passed on it. And even if you think, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and lot them up, and put 10 to 20 games in the lot. Well, then they sell for even less a piece. So I've seen like 12 CD lots sell for like $20. All right. So you're not doing that great on them. I will say one advantage is you get to send it media mail, which does cut down on the cost, but it's still pennies. So this is something I just don't mess with because the money's not there. Oh, medical goods. This is another one I've had a hard time with. So I found out the hard way that medical goods is a banned category on eBay unless you're a medical supplier. And, I second look at the obvious. You can't sell medicine, obviously not prescriptions, things like that. That's forbidden. But even medical devices. So, I picked up a sleep apnea machine really cheap. I put it up and nope, it was listed as a medical device. And that got me burned. So, medical goods and devices, this is another one I've had problems with. Now, I will say one exception that I've had to this is diabetic supplies. I mean, I pick up, say, diabetic test strips like 2 to 4 times a year. And I'm not kidding. Every time I list them, they sell within less than 24 hours. I picked up 3 boxes. They were $1 each for $3. And I listed the whole set for $45, and it sold in less than 2 hours. So diabetic support goods do well, but not medical devices. Oh, ink and toner. This is another one where you're competing obsessively against the Chinese cheapies, so you have to be dedicated to this. Now, you can see here, they're selling these cartridges for, what, the top one is about $9, plus free shipping, all right? And these are like 2 to 3 pound packages, so you got to be sending these either Priority, UPS, or FedEx, and it's going to be like at least $10, depending on how far away the person is. And so this is another one where I just haven't made any money. For a while, I had picked up huge lots of expired toner, and only when I grouped them up, and I got them super cheap, did I make a couple of bucks on, but it just wasn't worth it for me. This is another category I stay away from. Let's see. Oh, tea. So I had picked up some tea, and this isn't tea bags. This is boxes of tea. I thought, okay, and different blends, and I put them online, and no kidding, I still had them up over a year. I mean, in the end, I gave them to the food bank. Now, the tea was good, and it didn't expire, but I just think unless you're established, selling food goods on eBay is kind of a tough proposition. So this is something I would stay away from. Beanie Babies. Now, we know that this went through their own fad with the rise and fall of the market, and I see these all the time. And like any category, 98% of it is junk, and that 2% is worth something. If you know what that 2% is, you can do pretty well. With Beanie Babies, same thing. Most of it is junk, and so I stay away from it. I see it all the time, and I just don't get involved with it. Now, this is phone and tablet cases. Now, I'm not talking about tablets and smartphones themselves, but the case that goes around it. When I pick these up, first of all, they're difficult to sell on Amazon because they're usually a gated category. When I sell them on eBay, they don't go for that much, and they age out very quick, and they tend to be very device specific. Furthermore, the returns are a lot more frequent because they don't fit. And so this is another one I've just had so many problems on, I stay away from. Oh, postcards. So remember me talking about that 98% rule. The postcards falls into this. Now, postcards, of course, is its own genre. I was just watching this video on this antique channel, and these guys had a discussion about making a full-time living on eBay just doing postcards. And they kind of came to the conclusion, if you really, really know what you're doing and you're sourcing all the time and you get the right postcards, you can make between $30,000 and $36,000 a year. So I would say, okay, at that level, you're surviving, but you're definitely not prospering. And that's kind of like the best case of postcards. Now, when I go to antique stores and swap meets and garage sales, they're usually asking like $1 a pop for postcards. And I know to make money on postcards, you got to be picking these up at no more than a quarter each, all right? And just so the postcard category, I stay away from. Oh, now, tools is another one I stay away from. Now, I'm showing power tools here, but hand tools also fit this category. Now, power tools, this is kind of the stock of every garage sale, thrift store, and swap meet. And there's gazillions of power tools that people can pick up for cheap. And if someone wants a new cheap power tool, well, you know what? They're going to go to Harbor Freight. So that only leaves the upper end power tools, like DeWalt's. Okay, so then you're competing against, the Home Depots and Lowe's and authorized distributors of those tools. So this is another one that I just don't compete in because it's flooded at the low end and it's too gated at the high end. So, kitchen appliances. Now, get this. This is actually my photo. This is for my home. Now, I volunteer at a thrift store. When I started there, I thought, woohoo, this is cool. I can find everything for cheap. So I went wild, and I picked up a bunch of kitchen appliances over time. And one day I'm looking through, and I thought, holy crap, look at all these kitchen appliances I have. I counted them all up, and I had over 48 kitchen appliances. I mean, and I had 2 panini makers. I'm going, God, what do I need 2 panini makers for? But the point being that kitchen appliances follows the same trend as tools. That is, on the low end, they're so plentiful and cheap from so many other sources. You really can't compete there on eBay. And when you get to the high end, the quality stuff, then that becomes more gated. And you're competing against people who are in that category full time. So I stay away from kitchen appliances. Okay, Legos. Now, this is another one that's going to be contrary to every other video I've seen. Because what I've seen, Legos are great. Go ahead and sell Legos. And yes, I certainly believe that. The problem is that the gap between what you're able to get them for and the eBay price is so small that it's difficult to make profit unless you have really incredible sources. So, I mean, whenever I go to swap meets and garage sales, people know that Legos are worth good money, so they ask good money for it. They're not willing to discount because they're in demand. And you know, if I'm picking up Legos, you know, I usually see them like at $5 a pound. Well, guess what they sell for on eBay? About $5 a pound. And even the good stuff, the Technics kits, you know, people are asking a lot of money, and they go for a lot of money. So just the gap between what people usually sell them for and what they sell on eBay, there's not enough margin there for me to operate in. Now, I'm not saying you can't occasionally find good deals there, but regularly, I think this is a tough category to operate in unless you have a very specific source. Okay, GPS units. Of course, we've seen these at the low end. You know, I picked them up, and I'll throw into this, like the road maps, like the TomTom road maps. And, of course, we all know that cell phones have taken these over. Now, even when I got them in the box with all the accessories, it's still only selling for like 15 to 20 bucks. But I should say, I mean, twice in 3 years, I picked up like new in box high-end units for Marine. And I got like 80 bucks for those. So that is a bit of an exception. But on the low end, And it's a shame because, of course, we all know these were major bucks in the day. And, you know, technology made them very cheap and inexpensive. Okay, water filters. Like for your fridge. So this is another one where it's kind of like the ink toner cartridge, where there's a lot of people competing on the low end. And plus people, they frequently buy the wrong unit, so the return rate is higher. Furthermore, these have expiration dates that you need to be aware of, and it can be difficult to get a good source. And you can't also sell these on Amazon, so you can only sell them on eBay. So water filters is another category I've stayed away from. Okay, remote controls. Now, I see these all over swap meet and thrift stores, and you can usually pick this up for like $1. Okay? And I see on eBay they sell for like usually around 15 bucks. But for that 15 bucks, it's usually free shipping plus a promoted listing, plus the cost of sales. So by the time you're done, you're making a couple of bucks a pop. Now, I've seen people in this category who are dedicated to it, who know all about the remotes, and then I think it makes sense. But just for the casual seller, I think it's really, really tough to make money on remotes. CD players. Now, I should say I do make good money on vintage electronics. I'll say receivers, of course, record players, amps from the 70s and 80s. Those do well. What doesn't make money are CD players. And that's because we all know we have a CD player on our computer. Music has become digital, so you can listen on YouTube or Spotify or any other place. And so the same demand for vintage electronics isn't there for CD players. I bought some nice CD players, and I'll say I'll make money, but I make a little money. And plus, of course, they're more difficult to package and ship. And so CD players, I'll say it's profitable, but I'm not making enough money to justify my time on it. Okay, yearbooks. This is another one I see frequently. And the problem with yearbooks is it's only relevant to an audience of, say, 100 to 500 people. And so it's really, really limited of who you're selling this to. And when I've looked online for yearbooks, I mean, no kidding, I've seen them listed for years and years, waiting for the right seller to come along. So they got to wait a long time to get their money back. And some people can do that when they're active in this niche, but I'm there to flip it. And so I don't go after yearbooks. Funko bobbleheads. Now, this is another one that I've seen people go nuts over. The problem is that you can buy most of these new at Walmart for less than $10. And so when you can get them so readily, so cheap, to put them on eBay and they offer free shipping with them, and these have to be carefully packed, you're not making money. Now, of course, there's always rare ones in this category, and those can make money, but again, you have to know what you're doing. And it follows the same 98% rule. 98% of this is common, cheap, plentiful, and if you're trying to sell them, it just becomes a very difficult proposition. This is my last one. Brake pads. Now, I see this happen all the time. You go to the thrift store and you see some brake pads in the box. You think, okay, how cool, I'll go ahead and get it. No, what somebody did was they bought it, the brake pad set. They changed the brake pads on their vehicle. They throw the old brake pads into the box, and then they give the box to the thrift store, all right? And that's what they're selling, is a bunch of used brake pads. And sometimes the used ones, it can be difficult to tell, so they look like new, and you're thinking, uh-huh. So this is one I always stay away from, just because it's so commonly used. Okay, you think I'm right or wrong? Be sure and leave me a comment, subscribe, and give me a like, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.